Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another cool stuff video. This one's going to be very small. This thing is, it's useful. I really like it. It's not something you just have to have in your organization, and admittedly it probably doesn't even save that much time, but it saves me headache, I think, more than anything else. You may notice my video is going to be small. There may be, or slow. There's going to be a slight delay too when I type. Actually, I'm on a work computer here that I can only access with my screen sharing through Link, so it's going to be a little slow. This is Dynamics AX 2009. This solution is pretty general actually. But anyway, what it solves is basically making dialog boxes easier in code. So if you're not a coder, it's not really going to help you that much. And honestly, it's more an aesthetic thing, I think. So let's suppose that I wanted to ask the user for a customer and a date. So I've gone ahead and fast forwarded this coding thing here. It's especially slow because I'm on Link. So this just ended up taking a long time. So I just made it super speed really quick to save a bit of time here. Now this isn't a tremendous amount of code. Nobody's going to whine about having to do this, except for me, because I guess I just really like efficiency. So anyway, I mean, it is nice. This thing isn't horrible. You do get the EDT stuff all in there, so I didn't have to tell it what a cust account is, you know. So you know, it's nice. We've got that whole thing, but I like it. I like it to be quicker. So let's take out all of this stuff, and I'm going to show you a little object I wrote. Mouse is also pretty terrible tracking over Link, so I promise I'm not this slow normally. So actually, if I want to see both of these things, I'm just going to say cust my date equals, and then I'm going to say it's under, whoops. It's under a class called ZUtility, where we put basic utilities, but this, whatever you want to put it in. And then this is going to be, let's find my PromptFor. So when I open this, you can see that PromptFor is looking for an any type called types, and then optionally initial values, labels, help text, and a dialog. So to begin with, I'm just going to, well, let's take this in the simple case. Let's suppose we just had a customer. I'll show you how easy that one is. It's just ZUtility PromptFor type ID cust account. And that's it. That one line of code will actually set that customer up. Oh, I should leave the info box in. Info %1 %2 cust my date. Oh, string format. I never understood why. I think the info box should recognize when you're putting in something that would be string format and just do that. For some reason, I always forget to put that in there. Okay. So here I'm just going to pick a single customer, and you see that the actual picking of the customer was just one line. I could have put this inside of there. So basically you've got one line to get a single customer. If you wanted to put in an initial value, let's just put in, I don't know, I guess 10065. I don't know if that's even a customer, but we'll go with that. 10065. Oh, it probably isn't a valid customer, but I don't think it matters. It's just going to put that in the initial value. And then you can also do additional things, like you can add labels and help text. So if the default label from the EDT is customer. So I'll get into that later here. I just want to extend this. Let's say I'm selecting two things or more than two things. I want to get the customer and the date at the same time. Well, here, that's my date. So when you ask for a single thing from this ZUtility PromptFor, it just actually returns that thing. So you can see it actually is returning an any type, which means it might be the customer you asked for, it might be the date you asked for, but also if you prompt for multiple things, first off, you give it a container of types. And because that's a container, it recognizes that you're actually asking multiple questions here. So the second one is going to be type ID of, is it trans date? So I'm asking for a container of things here. So then it's actually going to return a container with what the user put in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start there, and see it's still actually getting my my default value. I'll get into how that works later, but here I'm going to select the two things, and it's going to say that I selected those two things. So it's this little single line of code here, and then all of these little values here, the initial values, the labels, the help texts, those can all either be single values or they can be containers. If they're containers, it basically applies the initial values in the containers. So when we call it this way, it actually is taking this this customer string, and it's seeing that it only has one of these, but it's looking for two of these, but it just applies them in sequence. So even though this wasn't a container, it's still going to go to the first thing in the container. If we wanted to specify a default value for both things, we could supply, instead of a text value, we could supply a container here. I'll just have it take today because that's an easy date to grab. And then I'll do labels. I'm going to do nothing for the first one, and then it should default to the regular one. And this date I'm going to say, let's just say we're looking for an invoice date. So we'll go like that, and all in one line of code. You see that it's taking customer account there, and then this invoice date it's taking, it's showing us instead of whatever trans date was. So that's basically a simple little utility. It removes a lot of typing, and it's just, I don't know. For me, it's more headache. This is super easy to write. When you're doing a dialog, you have to declare all the variables up here, and usually the call to the dialog is, you know, deep down in some code somewhere else, and it's a pain. Whereas PromptFor just returns a container with those things that you entered, and it's also very general enough to be flexible. So that's a tiny little utility. Again, it's not going to change your life or anything. It's going to save you from having to write a small paragraph of code and just write a single line. But that, I just aesthetically, I think it's better. I'm kind of surprised that Microsoft didn't put something like this in the X++ language. And actually on the back end, it's a fairly interesting code. There's some tricky little details you have to figure out, which I like a lot. But there it is. That's a PromptFor utility. Saves a little bit of time. If you'd like to see an in-depth code example of that, leave me a comment. And don't forget to check out my other cool stuff videos and in-depth tutorials on my channel. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.